Hi, this is Andy. Today I want to talk to you about this idea of intimacy that's in our textbook. And the question I want to pose is, do most couples who have committed to be long-term partners have anything that could be described as real intimacy in their relationship? I think we all grew up with this idea of happily ever after. At least that's what should be normal, that what people can expect if they put the work into it and things go right is that they're going to have a happy romantic relationship for the long term, okay? And so I want to address from there what the research actually tells us about couples. And there's a lot of research, as a matter of fact, and here's what it shows. The research tells us that there actually are three different categories that couples fall into in relationship with this topic. And it actually winds up about even, about a third and a third and a third percentage-wise for each one of these three categories. So the first third of couples actually hate each other, okay? So that doesn't sound too good, and that's pretty sad, but the fact is that these couples often stay together a long time, and we can probably all think of examples of couples we know that have been together quite a while, but their behavior and everything they say shows they don't really care much for each other. Okay, so that's unfortunately a third of the couples we have out there. The second third are couples that are in what we might call a parallel relationship. If you think of two parallel lines, they go on as far as the eye can see, but they never actually touch, and that's a good metaphor for these couples. They're not couples that they don't really hate each other or dislike each other, but they don't really have much in the way of intimacy either. You might describe these couples who are having a relationship of convenience. It's kind of easier to stay together than it is to separate. It's working. But essentially, I do my thing and you do your thing, and we don't really share a whole lot, right? The good news is the last third of couples actually do have intimacy, what we could call intimacy, okay? And these are people who actually share the deepest, feelings and deepest, thoughts, and share their spirits with one another, whatever, however you want to say it. And so it's not impossible. A third of couples do share intimacy in their long-term relationship, but this is the minority. And if you think of all the, these are the people. All these people we're talking about so far are the ones that are still together when the researchers show up at their door. Now, when you take into consideration all the people who have divorced or all the relationships that have broken up and probably have a lot of problems with intimacy, you factor that in, then that percentage of couples who have intimacy goes down even lower, all right? So that leads to a pretty, straightforward, clear conclusion. Intimacy is not normal amongst primary couples, okay? And I think, we do realize that couples have problems and we realize there's a high divorce rate and all those things, but I think we kind of, just assume that, well, these are, that if we could work out some of the bugs, that, if we could keep some of the problems from happening, that intimate relationships would just be what everyone experiences. That's what we should expect. Well, these numbers we just looked at shows no, it's not what we can expect. And if you step back and take a little, kind of broader consideration of the issue, think of it this way. Over most of human history and over most of human cultures, even today, the reason people get married is not for romantic intimacy. It's because their marriages were arranged, or it's because of economic considerations or community considerations. Actually, marrying for romantic love and marrying for this idea that we're going to share deep intimacy is, in the Western culture anyway, is kind of an invention of 16th century troubadours, and it's kind of a modern experiment. And I'm not saying I'm not all for it. I am. I think it's a wonderful thing to aspire to. And we're going to talk later about what factors actually contribute to real intimacy and what it takes to actually have that. But we have to realize it's not normal. If we were telling our kids, I'm not saying we should be, but if we were telling our kids the truth, we should tell them that you probably can expect not to have intimacy in your relationships, in your long-term primary partner relationship when you're an adult, okay? So, what I want you to talk about on the discussion board is to respond to these two questions. Are you surprised by this finding? Why or why not? If people knew this information, do you think it would change anyone's behavior when it comes to getting into romantic relationships? Why or why not? So go ahead and please remember the rules that we discussed earlier about holding discussions on the discussion board. And I'm really looking forward to reading your post. I think it's a provocative topic, and I'm sure you guys have a lot of great stuff to say. So thanks for listening.